Mike Braun is a United States Senator. Braun is a Republican. He represents the very Republican state of Indiana. For the last month, Mike Braun has been watching the destruction of our cities and of our history by Antifa and by Black Lives Matter. He has seen buildings burned, stores looted, citizens beaten nearly to death by mobs. And Mike Braun thinks he has an idea that will help. Braun has introduced legislation in the Congress that will make it easier for left-wing groups to sue police officers. Mike Braun believes that American police officers are too protected, presumably not the ones who've been shot in the head recently. Under current law, police officers in this country benefit from something that's called qualified immunity. Qualified immunity means that cops can't be personally sued when they accidentally violate people's rights while conducting their duties. They can be sued personally when they do it intentionally, and they often are. In other words, police officers are not above the law. They never have been. Cops who commit crimes can be punished, including in civil court. Cops who make lesser mistakes can be disciplined, suspended, or fired, and they often are. That's the system we have now. It works pretty well. Civil immunity, by the way, has precisely nothing to do with anything that happened in the George Floyd case. Just in case you're wondering, that cop is in jail. Qualified immunity has worked so well because police officers, maybe more than anyone else in our society, must make difficult split-second decisions on the job, and a lot. They do it constantly, whether to arrest someone, whether to conduct a search, whether to use force against a suspect. Sometimes actions they sincerely and reasonably believe are legal are found later by courts to be unconstitutional. Sometimes the very laws they enforce are struck down. That's not their fault, obviously, but without qualified immunity, police could be sued for that personally. They could be bankrupted. They could lose their homes. That's unfair. It would also end law enforcement. No one would serve as a police officer. And that's why the Supreme Court has upheld the principle of qualified immunity for decades now, often unanimously, both sides agreeing. In fact, both Justices Alito and Ruth Bader Ginsburg have cited qualified immunity in their decisions. But now, in order to placate the rioters, who he believes have more moral authority than the police, Senator Mike Braun of Indiana would like to gut qualified immunity and make it easier for cops to be sued personally for mistakes. Not surprisingly, Senator Lindsey Graham has signaled that he is open to that as well. Why are they so enthusiastic about such a bad idea? Well, we can only guess about that. Billionaire Charles Koch and the many organizations he bankrolls still have major influence over the Republican Party, to its great detriment. Koch spent millions attacking Braun's opponent in 2018. Koch is strongly in favor of suing the police for making mistakes. He is also strongly in favor of emptying America's prisons, which we have done. Who knows where this legislation will go in the end? But it seems as long as we're making it easier to sue people, why not start with U.S. senators? As of right now, as of tonight, all members of Congress enjoy absolute immunity from lawsuits. Nothing qualified about it. No lawmaker in the United States can be sued for actions taken as part of the legislative process. Period. So how about this? How about Mike Braun gives up his immunity first? That seems only fair. So the next time Mike Braun makes a mistake, and he's a U.S. senator, so it likely won't be long, the trial bar can land on him and take his house away. Mike Braun would make for a very good target for left-wing public interest lawyers. They'd be excited. It'll be interesting to hear Mike Braun's argument against giving up his own immunity. Maybe he'll come on the show and explain it. But our view is, if it's good enough for cops on the beat, it ought to be good enough for Senator Mike Braun. That's a principle we can wholeheartedly support.